Hey guys, how's everyone doing? With St. Patrick's Day coming in about a week, I've decided to give you my thoughts on the entire Leprechaun series. Now, a little bit of history lesson that the first Leprechaun movie was actually my first horror movie. Yes, this silly 1993 horror film was the first film that introduced me to horror. Not my favorite by all means, but I do have nostalgic for it and this for an entire series. And I just lost all my subscribers. Starting off with the positives on Leprechaun is Warwick Davis. He's the person that plays the Leprechaun in this movie, and he is awesome. Now, by my research, apparently, this movie was supposed to be a straightforward horror movie. We're supposed to be more serious, but Warwick Davis, after he was cast, he thankfully injected humor. I would hate it if this was more of a serious film. But yeah, the Warwick Davis is easily the highlight of this entire franchise, and it's a shame that he's not playing this character anymore, but maybe we'll get him in another film in like I don't know a few years. But if they do make another one, I want him, and if not, get Lyndon Porco because I thought he was actually pretty good in Leprechaun Returns. And just the fact that I just honestly really like the Leprechaun character. I think like I said, Warwick Davis plays this character to perfection, and that's literally how I recognize this character. Every time I think of Leprechaun, I think of Warwick Davis playing this evil yet hilarious antagonist of Leprechaun. I also like this overall story where you get the leprechaun and this one guy named Daniel O'Grady stole his gold by his rules by he captured him and he has to give him at least 100 or not at least half of his gold and all that. But then he tries to kill him and try and get his gold back and or find out where his gold is and then kill him. But he is stuck in this crate for 10 years and then these group of friends this father and daughter come to stay at this um at this house for the summer. You get three people that are there to paint the house, but the leprechaun mistakenly thinks that they know where his precious gold is, and then the entire movie is where he kills everyone whoever takes his gold. And the entire movie is a leprechaun trying to get his gold back, and if not, he's going to try and kill them one by one until he finds out where it is. To me, that's just a very interesting story in my mind, and it's a very goofy story. But what else do you expect from a killer leprechaun movie? I'll get more into this later, but the only character I really liked was Ozzy, and I'm glad he returned in Leprechaun Returns back in 2018 when that movie came out. I just really like this character. He's not the greatest character of all time, but I do like him. He's a funny character. He's this guy that believes in all these fairy tales. He's so entertaining character. God, I can't speak. But the rest of the characters, like I said, I will talk about. But I do like Ozzy a lot. I'm glad to see that he returned, and he's just this guy who believes in fairy tales. He tells all these weird stories. He's the only one that believes that the leprechaun is a leprechaun. No one else believes him. He's kind of like the outsider and the misfit of this group, and I just think he's just a very interesting character. And every time he's on screen, and all the funny lines he gives us, he's pretty funny, and he's just a very entertaining character to watch, along with the leprechaun. Speaking of humor, I think the comedy in this movie is pretty good. Now, for this is where in the '90s, where horror movies weren't taken seriously, where they were more about jokes and they were not as good until Scream came along. I think the comedy in this movie is pretty damn good. It makes me laugh every time I watch it. Sure, the movie is too silly, but again, what do you expect from a Leprechaun movie? This film is just a lot of fun. It's interesting, and every time there's a silly line, I laugh every single time. Thankfully, most of the humor comes from the leprechaun himself. Now, none of the death scenes are very good, which I'll also talk about, but the death I did like was the little pogo stick one where the leprechaun's on a pogo stick and he's just bouncing around and then he bounces on the guy's chest and then he starts spitting out blood. Not the best kill of all means, probably, I will say it's probably it's not the best kill in the entire franchise, but I bet it would kind of be up there in my top 10 with the Leprechaun series, but like I said, I'll talk about more about the kills, but that was like the only interesting kill where the pawn shop guy or the store owner, I don't know what he was. He took the gold coin from the kids to keep it overnight to study it, but the leprechaun tries to get it back and he takes his coin back, but then since he was the person that had his gold, he just decides to kill him on a little pogo stick. And he says like a little rhyme. He's like he played pogo on his lung, and he's doing like a little rhyme, which I really like the rhymes the leprechaun says in this movie, which I've actually seen a lot of people say that they don't. So I guess I'm very few people that actually liked it. On my final positives, I really like the Nightmare on Elm Street reference where the leprechaun he's calling Tory and he's messing with her. He's like, "Where's the rest of me gold?" And she rips off the phone, and then it rings again, and then she picks it up, and he's like, "Having problems? Do you need a hand?" And puts his little arm through it, and it's a little tiny, just like in Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy is messing with Nancy, and then she pulls out the cord of the phone, but it starts ringing again. He's like, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy," but a tongue comes out and tries to French kiss her. Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favorite horror movies, and it feels unnecessary to put in here, but I honestly like it. Maybe because I grew up with this movie and Nightmare at the same time when I was younger. Now on to my negatives. I don't give a shit about these characters. I think they're both boring and pretty stupid. Hell, there's even this one part where the guy that looks like fucking Kevin Bacon in this movie, I forget his name, and then he's going in there and there's a bunch of food and there's shoes on the table. Like there's food like everywhere and the shoes are on the table. It's like could have been a bear. I'm like, what bear could put shoes on a table? And there's another scene where Tori thinks that that guy, the same guy, is caressing her leg. Yeah, when she literally just saw him walk away, you think that he could just somehow double back without you seeing him go under that truck you're standing by and start rubbing your leg. Characters are just dumb and they're kind of just boring to watch, honestly. But the only character that really saved him was Ozzy. Remember when I said when I was talking about the one pogo stick kills? The kills in this movie aren't very creative. You get two snaps, and then you get Mr. O'Grady just come falling out of the elevator and not knowing what the hell happened to him, which I understand, low budget, but the kills kind of get better throughout the series, but mostly just neck snaps, which I want more creativity. That's what I look for in a slash movie. Yes, I get it. I just there was the screen movie reviews. I didn't say anything about that, but at least they were fun to watch. But in this one's just simple next step. Ow. All in all, guys, this is a very underrated horror movie in my mind. It's the first horror movie that introduced me to horror, and I think it's pretty underrated. I have some nostalgic for this movie and the rest of this series, but I honestly think that this is a movie where I think you should add it to your collection, go out and buy it. But this is also one of those movies where I think you should know your audience. But from my perspective, I would say go out and buy it. So, what do you guys think of Leprechaun 1993? Is this one of your favorites? Do you think it's underrated like me, or do you think this movie's too silly and think that this franchise never happened? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you loved it, subscribe and hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But until my next video, take care.